I always thought betrayal was something that happened to other people, something you read about in novels or overhear in whispered gossip, never something that would walk straight into your own living room. But the night my best friend, Jenna, looked me in the eye and confessed what she had done, my entire world cracked open. Jenna wasn't just a casual friend. She was my person. The kind of friend who finished my sentences, who knew how I liked my coffee, who came over with wine when I had a bad day. We'd been inseparable since college. She stood by me on my wedding day as my maid of honor. She was there when I gave birth, holding my hand through the contractions. She became godmother to my daughter. That's how much she meant to me. She wasn't just a friend, she was family. That evening, I noticed she was acting strange. Her hands fidgeted with her sleeve, her eyes darting everywhere except at me. I thought maybe she'd lost her job or gotten into some kind of trouble. Then her voice cracked. I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago. I waited, heart pounding. And then she whispered the words that felt like knives carving into my chest. I've been sleeping with Daniel, my husband, the man I built 8 years of marriage with, the father of my child. For a second, I laughed. A sharp, nervous laugh because it sounded insane, unreal, like some cruel prank. But Jenna's face, red, trembling, wet with tears, told me it wasn't a joke. And just like that, the air left my lungs. She admitted it had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of stolen nights. 6 months of walking into my house, hugging, me sitting at my dinner table, while secretly sneaking around with the man I trusted most. I couldn't even process it. My mind was racing, but my body felt frozen. I thought of the nights Daniel claimed he was working late. The random weekends he said he had meetings. The sudden change in his phone habits, always face down, always on silent. I had noticed all of it, but I brushed it off, because who wants to believe their partner could do something like that? And now the pieces all snapped together in the ugliest picture I'd ever seen. When Daniel came home later that night, I couldn't even look at him the same way. He kissed my cheek like nothing had happened, like he wasn't hiding a secret that had just detonated my heart. I confronted him right there in the kitchen, my voice shaking, my hands clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. And you know what? He didn't deny it. He didn't fall to his knees and beg forgiveness. He just sighed and muttered, it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything. 8 years of marriage, a child together, a life we built brick by brick. And he brushed it all off like it was a casual mistake, a meaningless fling. But here's what he didn't understand. It wasn't just the sex, it was the betrayal, it was the lies. It was every smile, every I love you, every promise that now rang hollow. That night, while he slept soundly beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my chest heavy, my mind spinning. I felt grief, rage, humiliation, all tangled together. But beneath it all, something else started to spark. A quiet, steady fire. Because if Daniel thought I would just swallow this betrayal and move on, he had no idea who he was really married to. The days after Jenna's confession felt like walking through shattered glass. Every corner of my house carried echoes of betrayal. The couch where Daniel and I once curled up for movie nights. The kitchen table where Jenna and I had laughed. Over wine, all of it poisoned now. At first I drowned in heartbreak. I cried until my body felt hollow. I replayed every moment of the past 6 months, every time they must have lied to me, every excuse I believed. I felt foolish, humiliated. But then something shifted. I remember standing in front of the bathroom mirror, my eyes red and swollen, my face pale from sleepless nights. And I heard myself whisper, almost like someone else was speaking through me, "You don't get to break me." It was quiet, but it was the beginning of something. See, betrayal does two things. It can destroy you, or it can sharpen you into something stronger. And I realized I had a choice. Daniel and Jenna thought they were smart, thought they could sneak around, thought I'd be too blind or too weak to catch on. They thought my love made me naive, but love isn't weakness. And now that love was gone, replaced by something far more dangerous, clarity, I decided I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't expose them in some messy outburst that made me look unhinged. No, my revenge would be quiet, precise, and unforgettable. It started with Jenna. Instead of cutting her off immediately, I played my role perfectly. I texted her like normal. I smiled when we bumped into each other. I even invited her over once or twice. I let her believe her teary confession had earned her forgiveness. She had no idea that while she sipped wine in my kitchen, I was recording every word. Every slip, every little detail about their affair, every time she laughed nervously about Daniel being so risky. I collected it all like evidence. Then I turned to Daniel. I acted as though I was giving him another chance. I told him I wanted us to rebuild, that I believed in our marriage. He softened immediately, relieved. That made him careless. His phone, always glued to him before, started lying around again. His guard dropped, and that's when I found everything I needed. Text messages, photos, plans they'd made. 6 months of deceit documented in black and white. I didn't confront him this time. I didn't even let him know I'd seen it. I smiled, I cooked dinner, I kissed him goodnight. All the while, I was building my case. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It stings deepest when it comes from the people closest to you, but it also gives you the sharpest insight into who they really are. And I realized Daniel was arrogant. He believed I was so devoted, so soft, that I'd never leave him. Jenna believed our bond was too strong for me to ever cut her out, and that arrogance was going to be their undoing. I started making quiet moves. I met with a lawyer without Daniel knowing. I shifted money from our joint account into one, under my name only. I pulled copies of our mortgage, our car titles, our investments. I became meticulous, focused, and the whole time I smiled at them both. When Jenna texted me, "I hope you're okay. I hate what I did to you," I responded, "I forgive you. We'll get through this." When Daniel wrapped his arms around me at night, whispering, "I'm glad you're still here," I whispered back, "Always." What they didn't know was that every word out of my mouth was a lie, just like theirs had been, because I wasn't planning to stay. I was planning to leave in a way that would take both of them down to the very foundation. My plan wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was going to cut deeper than any scream or slap ever could. The night before I ended it all, I barely slept. Not from nerves, but from anticipation. It felt like standing at the edge of a storm I'd been quietly building, brick by brick, waiting for the exact moment to let it break. And finally, the day came. It was a Saturday. I invited Jenna over for brunch, something we'd done dozens of times before. Daniel was home too. The three of us in one space. Ironic, really, considering how they'd spent months sneaking around behind my back. But this time, I was the one holding the secrets. We sat at the table, sipping coffee, eating eggs and toast, and I watched them, both. The nervous glances between them, the small silences that said more than words ever could. They still thought they were hiding something. They had no clue their entire world was about to collapse. I excused myself, walked to the living room, and returned with a small folder. I laid it on the table between us. Daniel frowned. Jenna tilted her head, pretending curiosity. "Go ahead," I said softly. "Open it." Inside were printed screenshots of their messages, pictures, plans, even the audio recordings of Jenna admitting everything to me weeks earlier. The color drained from both their faces instantly. Daniel's lips parted, searching for an excuse. Jenna's hands shook as she flipped through page after page. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even raise my voice. I just sat there, steady and calm, while they squirmed. "Do you know what betrayal does?" I asked finally, my voice low, deliberate. It doesn't just break hearts. It shows you who people really are. And both of you, you showed me everything I needed to see. Daniel stammered something about making a mistake. Jenna whispered, "I'm sorry." But their words meant nothing now, because I'd already made my moves. I stood, placed a single envelope next to Daniel's plate and said, "That's my resignation from this marriage. Divorce papers. My lawyer will be in touch. Everything is already filed." His face crumbled. He knew then that I hadn't just caught him, I'd outsmarted him. And then I turned to Jenna. "As for you," I said, "I don't hate you. I don't even need to, because you're going to live with the truth of what you did every time you look in the mirror. And trust me, that reflection will haunt you, longer than I ever could." She started crying. I didn't flinch. I picked up my keys, my bag, and I walked out of my own house with my head held high. That was the last time I saw either of them together. What followed was freeing. The divorce moved fast, because I'd already gathered everything. Daniel couldn't fight me on finances. I had proof of his infidelity, leverage with the lawyer, and a strategy that left him cornered. I walked away with more than I expected, half. The house, part of his investments, and peace of mind money could never buy. As for Jenna, word got around. Not from me. I never needed to say a word. Secrets like theirs have a way of spilling on their own. Her friendships dried up. People stopped trusting her. The same smile she used to hide her lies turned into a mask she couldn't take off anymore. And me? I healed. It wasn't instant. It wasn't easy. But every step I took away from that house, every night I slept without lies beside me, every morning I woke up and breathed freely. It reminded me that betrayal doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. The satisfaction didn't come from destroying them. It came from choosing myself, from refusing to stay small, from walking away with dignity while they drowned in their own choices. Looking back now, I see it clearly. Revenge isn't always about fire and fury. Sometimes the most devastating revenge is quiet. It's simply showing someone that their betrayal didn't break you. It built you. Daniel lost a wife who gave him everything. Jenna lost a friend who would have stood by her through anything, and I gained myself. And honestly, that's the sweetest revenge of all.